So a tree, this is wood chips from a tree. A tree uses capillary action, and so what happens to get water. And so what happens is it rains, the water's in the ground, the roots soak it up, but they're not actually down there like pulling and pulling and pulling. What's going on, the way that the water gets from the ground up to the leaves, are these little itty bitty pockets that's in the middle of the tree. And you can see that in charcoal. So what charcoal is the a burnt stick, essentially burnt wood, and everything has left the charcoal except for the carbon, which makes up like 80-something% of the tree. So most of the tree is made of carbon. It has other chemicals in there, but when you burn it, all those more volatile, those chemicals that will burn off easier, they leave pretty quick. And then you're left with charcoal. And you can do the same thing with charred cloth. It's a really easy way of making fires. You can do the same thing with like a cotton shirt, which will make charred cloth. You just heat it up without burning it. And so what happened, Tessa found this. She found a little plant that has grown through the charcoal. It found one of those little cracks, those little crevices, and charcoal is really, really good for the soil in the right amounts. But it's good for the soil because it's a little hotel for millions of bacteria. So all those little holes that are in the tree are now vacant. They're open, so the bacteria can live in there. Nutrients can get stored in there. That's why charcoal is a good thing to take up toxins from your stomach, because it's like a sponge. It just has a bunch of little pockets in it. So the same thing that helps the water get to the top of the trees and to the leaves is the same thing that helps us in our garden. If you put the charcoal in the soil, it'll help bacteria bacteria will colonize the coal, and nutrients will be absorbed into the charcoal. Native Americans use this. I think it's called terra preta, where archaeologists were setting aside along anthropologists and geologists, I think is what it was. They found that in layers of this Amazonian rainforest, this soil, there were just black layers of soil, and they found out that it was charcoal, and it had to do with the Native Americans. The Native Americans would burn massive amounts of forests in a specific area, but they would only do it a little bit at a time. So they do a little bit here, and then when that soil started to be depleted and wasn't making a lot of food, they would move and they would do the same thing next door, and they would do a big enough circle, and they'd work their way around to that first place. By the time they had done that, the forest had grown back, all the nutrients had been restored, and they would do it again. So it was slash and burn, but they were only doing small amounts at a time. And they could tell where those people, when they were living in the area, because there was charcoal layered down. So they burned the forest, charcoal went to the ground, nutrients were available, and thousands of years later that charcoal is still in the ground, has not decomposed, because charcoal does not break down. It's just there.
So what about charcoal that you get like from the store?
So charcoal from the store normally has other I believe it has other chemicals in it. You can get just briquettes that have this in it, but I believe they take a bunch of stuff, they smush it together in those charcoal briquette shapes, and I think they put chemicals in it. I could be wrong on that.
So are they not as porous as natural?
I think they would be as porous. I feel like they would be as porous. I'm not sure, but you can get the same. You can make your own charcoal if you got a big 50-gallon drum and heated the wood that's in there up to the point where all the gas is left. You would be left with charcoal, and you can use that in your garden. You can use that for like absorbing toxins if you do other things with it, or you can use it to grill. So if you actually burn your mulch pile like a bonfire, if you burn it in the right way, in a hole that's shaped the right way where oxygen can't get in, after a certain point, then you'll actually be able to make your own charcoal, which is what we did, which is where all this came from. The roots can grow in it, nutrients can get stored in it, bacteria can live in it. There's massive amounts of surface area inside of charcoal.